Welcome everybody. Thanks so much for your patience. We'll get started here in just a moment. Go ahead and fill out our poll so we can get to know you a little bit. And like I said, we'll get started here in just a second. Thanks. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. I did stop the poll so that we can get started and have our undivided attention on our presentation today. So welcome everybody. My name is Matt Dietrich. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions here at the Penn State School of International Affairs. I want to welcome you today to our General Admissions webinar. I'm joined by my colleague and the Director of Admissions, Christy Percio, who will largely be in the chat today answering your questions as we go along. With that being said, if you do have questions, we welcome you to ask them throughout our webinar today at any time. Please use the question and answer function to ask your questions as opposed to the webinar chat, just so that we can get to your questions in a kind of systematic way. Sometimes if you use the chat, we can lose your questions, and it's just easier for us to use the Q&A box. We do welcome you to introduce yourself in the chat. Feel free to do so. Again, we'd love to learn more about you, where you're from, what you're interested in, or if you just want to say hi, that's fine as well. So without further ado, we are going to go ahead and get started. I do have the PowerPoint presentation up, so if you can't see it, or if you're having trouble hearing me, seeing me, or anything like that, just let me know in the chat, and we will address that as we can. Or if you want to just go ahead and give me a thumbs up using the emoji buttons and let me know that everything is good to go, that's great too. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of our presentation today, I do want to let you know that we only offer a Master of International Affairs degree. We do not offer any other degree here at the university, and we can't speak to any other degree at the university as well. So unfortunately, if you're here to learn about engineering or business or anything like that, we're really probably not going to be big help to you today. But if you are specifically interested in the Master of International Affairs, of course, we welcome you to stay and hear us out. We plan to not take too much of your time today, but it just depends on how many questions that you ask towards the end of our presentation. But I did want to just kind of give you bottom line up front that we can only talk about the Master of International Affairs, which we're excited to do. So let's get started. So first, I want to talk a little bit about our university and the School of International Affairs. Some quick facts about the School of International Affairs. We do offer a professional master's degree in international affairs. It is different than an academic degree where you're really doing research, working with a professor, and really preparing for post-graduation employment in academia or research. We're really focused on post-graduation employment in kind of the realm of international affairs in the professional world outside of academia. That can include think tanks, the federal government, state and local governments, international organizations like the United Nations, IMF, et cetera, et cetera. That's really what we're preparing students for. There are a subset of students that go on to get PhDs. So if that's you today, hopefully we're not scaring you away. We do welcome you to stick around, but it's just a smaller group of students, and I really think it's just based on the interests of our students, not our lack of preparation for PhDs. We are a member of the Association of Professional Schools of International Affairs. Without belaboring the point here, we're just part of a consortium of the top international affairs schools globally, of about 35 or so schools within the consortium. We're really proud to be a part of this consortium of schools, and it just speaks to the rigor and prestige of our program. If you go on appsia.org and you look at some of our partner schools, you'll see that we're in the mix with some really great schools of international affairs. And again, it just speaks to the quality and prestige of our program. We offer an interdisciplinary, flexible, and customizable curriculum. You can choose one of 12 concentrations or create your own, and you have the ability to really customize what you're learning within the scope of each course within our core curriculum, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We offer education abroad. So if you're a citizen of the US here, you can use our program to go abroad. International students, of course, can go abroad as well, wherever your passport will take you. But we understand that this is study abroad. But for all of our students, if you're interested in exploring the world through our program, it won't delay your graduation. It's all wrapped up within the tuition. You can experience the world through our program, through education abroad experiences. We have elite experienced faculty. Our faculty come from a wide range of practical experience working in the State Department, the National Security Council. Some folks have roamed the halls of the White House throughout their careers as well, but also scholars of international affairs in economics, human rights, media and journalism, sociology, agriculture, in food systems, climate change, and more. We have really great support from our staff here at the School of International Affairs. Outside of Christy and my office, of course, we'll walk you through the entire admissions process. But once you become a student here, our student affairs are really great, as including academic advising and career services. But also our faculty are really helpful too. And you really learn to build a relationship with our staff and faculty once you're a student here. And it's just a tight-knit and global community, which we'll probably touch on here in a little bit, and that includes our staff. So you can be sure that if you join our program, you'll have support from every angle, and we're all kind of helping you towards your success. We have an over 90% career attainment rate within 1 year of graduation as well, which really just speaks to our career services office and the preparation that they provide in helping you get a job post-graduation. When talking about our curriculum flexibility, you can choose one of 12 concentrations or create your own. And I'm sorry, this is kind of out of order here. The first point is the core curriculum. So not to get out of chronological order here, but the core curriculum is what you will take in your first semester, first year rather. You'll take classes in international economics, IR theory and diplomacy, global cultures and leadership, actors, institutions, and legal frameworks, which is kind of our international law class in conjunction with Penn State Law faculty. We have a really great relationship with Penn State Law, so they teach a class for us as well. A colloquium on current policy challenges, which is a great course and brings in guest speakers every week. In fact, soon we're going to have a very decorated ambassador who has a connection with our program and who is going to be teaching one of our classes. So that's great, and that's part of the colloquium as well. And then we have a quantitative analysis course. In the second year, you begin to take electives, which is the choose one of 12 concentrations or create your own. Over 60% of students choose to create their own concentration, and this is made possible by taking classes or electives in many top Penn State graduate programs. This does include business, engineering, history, political science, global and international studies, information sciences and technology, and so many more to meet your niche academic and professional interests. Here at Penn State, you can also start or perfect a foreign language. One of the most important things that employers are looking for from graduates in international affairs is that you know a language other than your native language, but particularly a language other than English. This is a really attractive quality, and so we require students to meet the intermediate proficiency of whatever language you choose. And there are a variety of languages here at Penn State that you can start or again perfect if you've already taken classes within that language in your undergraduate university or elsewhere. Every student is required to complete a master's paper or an internship. We provide this flexible option depending on your post-graduation goals. Most students are choosing the internship given their professional interests. So moving quickly and along here towards our application requirements, this is a good opportunity for you to take notes and really just soak this information in. We're not going to break down the application in every aspect. I am going to go over what is required of you to successfully apply to our program. But what I will say is if you're available next week, I believe a week from today, for a best practices in applying to graduate school webinar we will be hosting here on Zoom. You can go on our website to register for that. We will break down the application and give you the best tips on how to apply on every aspect of the application so that you can successfully submit the best application and be considered for our top merit-based scholarships. Moving right along here. So some important deadlines that you need to be very aware of. These are extremely important, particularly if you're interested in the financial benefits of a quality application. The first is our merit-based scholarship deadline. You must apply no later than January 31st of 2025 by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time in order to be considered for generous merit-based scholarships. We'll talk a little bit about scholarships here soon. The next deadline is our final deadline, which is March 21st. By this point, though, we probably won't have scholarships available, and its seats will be limited because the majority, I mean, the vast majority, nearly 98% of applications will be submitted by January 31st. So really don't apply by March 21st. That's not setting you up for success. January 31st is the best. After March 21st, you can apply for fall 2025 admission, but it's only based on seat availability. Scholarships will not be available at this point. They will have been distributed. If you're an international applicant and you apply after January 31st, you are putting yourself at a grave disadvantage for setting yourself up for success to get here on time, particularly as it relates to the timelines in which it takes to get the visa, the I-20, the immigration process, and all of that. So I think I've kind of, hit the nail on the head here that January 31st is the most important deadline. All right, so moving on to how to apply, the first and foremost thing that we suggest that you do is go on our website. There really are no tricks here. We're not trying to trick you or make this any harder. We try to be as straightforward as we possibly can and transparent while maintaining equity in the process. But go to our website. All of the information I'm about to tell you is on the website. All of the eligibility requirements and what you need to submit at the time of application is there. So if you miss anything that I say today, again, go on our website, or it's a quick Google search. If you can't remember that URL, totally get it. Google Penn State School of International Affairs admissions, and it'll take you right to it. All right. So the application requirements include a current resume or CV. We need a copy of the official transcripts. We cannot accept unofficial transcripts or grade reports or advising transcripts or screenshots of your transcripts. You must obtain at least a copy at this rate, a copy of the official transcripts to upload at the time of application. If you're admitted and you matriculate, we will need your undergraduate university to submit the official copies or the official transcripts rather from university to university. But at this rate, you can just download a copy of the official transcripts to be considered eligible. Your official transcripts must show conferred degree and that your degree is comparable to a U.S. four-year bachelor's degree as well. If you have not yet graduated, then you can still submit a copy of the official transcripts, but we will need that conferred degree at some point to finalize your admission. We need a statement of purpose on our website. Again, there are two prompts. You'll choose one and write on that prompt about 500 to 750 words, kind of cover letter style. But use this as your opportunity to tell us about you and why you want to get this degree and what you plan to do with this degree in your professional career to start at least. This is the most important part of the application. And again, I do recommend that you come to our best practices in applying to graduate school webinar next week, where we will break down really how to craft a really great statement of purpose. If you can't make that, go onto our YouTube page where we have archived past best practices webinars, and that will still have the same information. We do need the contact information for two recommenders. So even if you haven't applied yet, but you plan to apply, go ahead and start those conversations now with faculty members. We do prefer that you have faculty members write letters of recommendation for you, because they will be able to speak to your ability to take on higher level learning in a graduate degree program. If you've been out of the undergraduate world for quite some time, that's totally okay. And you have, supervisors or trusted mentors or folks in the professional industry that can write you a letter of recommendation, go ahead and ask them as well. But we do prefer faculty members, given that we are an educational program. We do need the completion of program-specific questions at the end of the application. These program-specific questions are extremely important and part of the review process, so do not skip those. Failure to answer any question on the application could result in a denial of your application immediately. We won't even review it. So please make sure that you do complete these. These are just basic supplemental questions, but they're extremely important in the review of your application. International students, we do need proof of English proficiency, either through IELTS or TOEFL. There are some certain exempted countries that are pre-exempt, and that is on our website. So again, do your due diligence to ensure what you need to submit at the time of application. If your country is not on that list, there is no exemption process. You will still need to submit IELTS or TOEFL at the minimum scores. For IELTS, it's a 6.5 overall band score. For TOEFL, it is an 80 on the internet-based test with a 19 on the speaking section. Additionally, your conferred degree must be comparable to a U.S. four-year bachelor's degree. Also, international students, please use the country eligibility webpage on our website. It'll direct you to a graduate school, to the Penn State Graduate School website, where you will learn about what you need to submit at the time of application. Each country is different. For some countries, you will need to submit the official transcripts in your native language and English. Some of you just in the English language, as well as whatever degree certificates need to be submitted, and if you need to submit IELTS or TOEFL. So again, international students, a little bit of extra steps to ensure your eligibility, but these are extremely important to ensure that you can make it through the admissions process. When talking about scholarships and our January 31st deadline, last year, 100% of admitted students for fall 2024 that were eligible for scholarship did receive some form of scholarship. We're really proud to say that we were able to support every single student at some degree. Scholarships are limited, not guaranteed, and are completely based on the merit of your application. This is why we suggest that you apply now and well before the January 31st deadline for best consideration, and to make sure that your letters of recommendation are submitted before the January 31st deadline, and that you just don't miss anything prior to that deadline. And it just gives you time to kind of cross all your T's and dot all of your I's. The merit-based scholarship consideration truly is that. It's based on the quality of the application. We don't have any need-based financial aid. Therefore, we ask that you put together the best application that you can so that you can be considered for top scholarships that are available. They're not guaranteed. Even though last year we were able to support every single student, it's not always guaranteed, but we hope to continue this trend through in the future. Scholarships can discount your tuition up to about 60% for our top applicants. The range of discounts is anywhere from 15% to about 60%. Last year, the average discount was around 40 to 50%. So really what this says is that the majority of our admitted students did receive pretty good scholarships to help discount their tuition. But again, those top scholarships really are reserved for our best best applicants. International students, you can use the scholarship towards your financial guarantee. The financial guarantee is required for the I-20, and the I-20 is required for the visa, and we can answer any questions on that as well. We do not have any fully funded scholarships available. And with that, we do not offer any GA or TA positions within the School of International Affairs. These are really reserved for PhD programs in which we do not have any. Given the model of the university, we're just not afforded this opportunity. So we try to stretch as many dollars as possible to as many students as possible for equity's sake, and to ensure everyone has at least something before they come here. And with that, we are done with the informational part of our webinar today, and we are more than happy to answer any and all of your questions. And I'm sure some of you have been asking questions already, but feel free to write in the Q&A box the questions that you have for us. We do welcome you to connect with us via email, through calling or texting. You can also go ahead and scan that QR code on the right to learn about how to apply. It'll take you right to our application page so that you can see what is needed from you at the time of application. So with that, we'd love to take some of your questions. It does look like someone did ask one question in here, but we will give a moment or two for you to type your questions in the Q&A box so that we can answer those now. Someone did ask in the chat, it looks like, about LLM graduates with full scholarship or other financial aids. I know that question was answered, but just another take on this is that, and if I'm understanding you correctly, if you're bringing outside funding into the program, of course, that's totally okay. But we don't offer any internal full funding scholarships to our students. But if you have external funding from other sources, government agencies or multinational corporations or anything like that, and you want to apply that to tuition, it's totally okay, of course. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's exactly what you were asking, but I do see that Christy answered your question, which actually, Christy, you may need to resend that specifically to that student because it looks like you just sent it to host and panelists, by the way. Someone asks, even though SIA has no GA positions, is it possible for students to secure GA positions in other departments across the university? Yeah, good question. This is possible, but here's some kind of insider advice is typically these don't open up to people outside of that particular department until you are a student, until you have a home program. So this may mean that you have to figure out how to pay for the first semester on top of whatever scholarship you earn from us, and then begin applying to GA positions outside of the department. Folks in that scenario, we've had students get GA positions in other departments across the university, but usually it takes a full semester or two before they land those. So it may not be until like the spring semester of your first year or the second year until they get those GA positions. So you can apply to those like just like any other job at the university. Therefore, we can't like really help. We can't exactly like call up the department and say, hey, this student needs a GA or anything like that. So that'll be like completely up to you. And of course, our career services office is available to assist in putting together the materials for it. But we can't like pull strings for you. So anyway, I hope that helps answer your question there. Okay. Any other questions that we can answer for you? We'll give it just a minute here to give you time to think. Can answer any questions about the university, about our program. Housing, things like that. Great. So another question came in. I would have a second question. I know there is a 240 ECTS requirement, which is equivalent of 4-year bachelor's. Yes. I am currently finishing up a 3-year bachelor's, 180 ECTS, but I have over 60 extra credits of additional classes. Do those count towards the requirement? You would need to prove on transcripts that you have at least a total of 240 ECTS credits. So whether that, yeah, you just need to show, okay, so the answer is you need to show that you have a total of 240 ECTS credits completed. So you would need to include all transcripts and all schooling that you have completed on your via transcripts and on the application itself in order to be eligible. Kind of a simple answer to your question, but hopefully that is helpful to you. And that's a good point too. A lot of times we see, particularly from Indian applicants, that a 3-year bachelor's degree is common in India, and so we would suggest that one, the 3-year degree would make you ineligible. Unfortunately, you would need a postgraduate diploma or a 1-year master's degree or something else to meet that 4-year minimum. It is common amongst our European and Indian applicants that these two things are true. So just make sure that you're meeting that 4-year minimum to be considered eligible for admission. So you say they do show up on the transcript under elective, but the bachelor's itself says 180. Um, please email us so that we can investigate this. If if it's not clear that there are 240 total credits completed, they may have questions. The reason I can't give you an exact answer, and I'm going to put our email in here, is because we actually don't evaluate the transcripts in our office specifically. That is handled by another office on campus. So go ahead and email us, and you can send us a copy of the transcript, and we can kind of investigate this for you so that you don't submit an application and then end up finding out that that's not good enough. So great. All right. Well, there are no other questions coming in. We do appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and let you all go. Feel free to reach out to us at any time. I'm going to go ahead and put in our email here in the chat. And feel free to reach out to us. We hope to see you at our webinar next week, where we'll really break down the application at our best practices webinar. Feel free to reach out to us via email with any questions. We hope to see an application from you soon, and we wish you a